Good afternoon, traders. It's Wednesday, March 11th, and we're here for the room recap. So I'm just going to pass it right over to George because I'm seeing this for the first time myself today. So, how you doing, George?
Good. Always hard at work, aren't you, Bob?
I'm trying to get this release out so I can impress everybody with all this cool stuff. It's going to make us great traders.
This is it's the analytical side of it, right?
Yeah, in a nutshell, the basics of it is we have an enormous amount of data for you because you're using our strategy inside a NinjaTrader. So I'm setting the ability for you to create rules like no losers bigger than a certain number, or max daily loss is this, or I need to wait at least 60 seconds before I get into a trade after a loser. All those kind of things I'm going to be surfacing on a dashboard for you and sending over to AI to get analysis on what you can do better. So it's going to be mind-blowing stuff. Can't wait to get it out there.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's it's the heart of everybody trade wise, right? Like you got to have the basics of what worked, what didn't work, and how do you go back and analyze it. So that's going to be really cool. All right, let's go through the ES here first. First one I had pulled up. Generally speaking, it's a pretty simple day. So let's find our 920. There wasn't anything that I had put in the pre-market yet again. We had news this morning at 8:30. I try not to go chart casting when there's bigger event news happening at 8:30, unless I guess there's a caveat to that. It's potential that we're already in the move, and then the 8:30 just finished it off. So, but today that was not the case. We were sort of between two worlds as we started the room off here at 9:20. So we'll find our 9:20 bar. Here we are. So here's our 9:20, and as we have seen, really, gosh, it's been probably the last few trading days, wouldn't you say, that we've started the day off kind of between like they have to make a decision up or down. And that's just kind of where we're starting our days off with
Yep.
recently.
Yep.
So, as always, it's important to know where you're at and that we are in the middle. So, so here we are at 9:20. They had attempted a downside scenario that was back here at 9:15. So again, they'd already bounced from that. And so starting at 9:20, the conversation was pretty basic. We had to go down much further for any potential buy. We had this zone blocked off down here in this blue highlighted zone that said that, if we start the morning off at 9:20, then beware of really two things that were kind of coming in our direction. There was a downward decision point back here at 63.75, and then worst case would be a big picture has to hold way down at 38. And then we of course look at the opposite because we're always trying to play devil's advocate with ourselves in the trade and what has to happen. That's really what it kind of boils down to. Is it's not so much anything more than like this has to occur, otherwise they can't move on into the next thing. So to the top side, we had posted very similar, just much tighter parameters. The top side, we had another blue box and said if we start the morning off and we go up, then same thing. We have a decision point around 8:06. And the thing that would have to then break after that is the hurdle up here at 18 half. So that really being the first thing that came up as far as time of day, because they just spent the entire from the 9:20 all the way until they actually did the spike here at 10:05. For us in the trading room, the way that we operate, I don't know that anybody took anything, and you really shouldn't have. It should have been very obvious that we are between two worlds, and it kind of seems strange. I get it sometimes. People sitting there look at that and go, "Well, man, you missed all that potential." Yeah, it sounds good in theory, but at the same time, I'd rather go with the things that are a little bit higher probability. So I, for one, took my only ES trade today was right off the hurdle. I took a short. And if you didn't have a limit order sitting there waiting for it to be picked up, chances of you getting it on that was very well. It's probably slim to none. You would have had to have had reacted versus planned out the trade ahead of time. Uh, the only thing I'd said after that was that if you didn't get in up here, you got one more opportunity if it comes back up here to the 8:06. So watch that area closely because it's the same thing. It's a decision point here at the market at that time. So it's not that it's not going to happen. I'm not clairvoyant. It's just saying that they've already proven that they can go to the 18 and fail it. Now, if they can go up to the 806 and fail it, I mean, we're kind of on easy street at that point. It's just going to go down. So that's kind of what they did, took profit. And then there was one more opportunity at 1105 to jump in one more time. I had called out to everybody that's the same thing, 806. Obviously, it shorted that one by about 2.5 points. So, you would have had to front run it for the third attempt up. But otherwise, all three targets, boom, boom, boom. And then if I just drug this one over, the has to hold, it held our has to hold. And long story short, they didn't go anywhere today, quite frankly. Still got our 930 opening range right here, which we're just barely underneath. So today was really not about the market making any kind of what I call price change, no real value change in the market. They were simply moving because that's what money does. It has to move. NQ. Yeah, so similar pattern as we have talked about several times in the past. The movement's very similar, which is why I like the correlation and actually using NQ and ES together kind of as a something of a coupling factor between the two, because when one reaches a very significant point, like a has to hold or rubber band or something, but the other one's maybe not quite there, they so very often will kind of still make the same movement, even though one's missed it. So here at 920 again, what did we call out? So here we are, same thing. NQ, you can see they already had a bottom, form around 850 shortly after the news candle here at 830. So they wicked it pretty hard on that one. The bottom was in, again, there wasn't anything that we had talked about in the pre-market. So there was really nothing for people to gauge off of, even in a chart cast scenario today. So it just rolled up. There was one pretty good short off of the hurdle. You did have to endure a little bit of a wick on the NQ, but you do have to be prepared. NQ, you can't really run it very tight. You really do have to give it some room to breathe. Or what do we say, Bob? Enter 10 points later. So whatever the market number is that gives you, just go 10 points after that. What would that have been? So that put you pretty much dead perfect. But then it was really up to the market at that point to make, if I just zone this off. So we zoned this off for the folks in the room as well and just said, look, here we are. We're above the decision point here at the 25,056, but we got to get through the hurdle. So if we can get to the hurdle, fine. We've got targets posted. Boom, boom. And then lastly, if the rubber band was going to be an interesting one today, had they gotten there, because it also correlated very well with a decision point within just I think 2 points of each other. So had they gotten there today, it's all about the setup. And you just got to be prepared for the setup and just realize, where did you get in? But either way, this was kind of awesome today on the NQ with respect to the market maintaining what it knows it wants to do, and then just kind of sticking with inside of it for a little while. So if you know this stuff and you've got this on your screen and you've paid attention to it long enough, you know that no matter how many times it comes back to test this decision point, which it did, multiple times, it still went to target. So NQ, that was it. And then later in the day, it finally reached our lower decision point, but never broke it. So same deal. It is what it is until it isn't. So yes, the market has to break 893 at some point if it really wants to, extend to the downside.
A couple of nice 100-point bounces off that too at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Very cool.
And it's in the video course, folks. You can view it for free. It's just linked here to the video here. So you can go through all this and we describe market movement as it pertains to how we are basically laying it out. So this way you can kind of go back and then you can go back to some of the previous videos too. And you'll see that a lot of stuff that we talk about, it comes true. It just comes true later because you can't time the market. So.
Okay. Well, that was a good recap. I appreciate your time, George. And everybody, we'll see you in the room tomorrow.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob.